So thank you for coming tonight. My name's Scott Wodzinski. I'm the fire chief, for those of you that might not know me. And tonight what we wanted to do is basically go over the timeline of the renovation of the fire station and some of the change that has occurred over the last several weeks as far as the timeline goes. On the back of your handouts, it actually has the timeline on it. It didn't quite come out as good on the PowerPoint. It's a little dark. But what the basic goal is, or what we've changed over the last few weeks, was bringing this to the special town meeting in May instead of the annual. And by bringing it to the design to the special town meeting, we're able to actually start design on the renovation and the addition right away. And basically do the design through the summer, and by the end of the summer put it out to bid for the entire project and bring it to the fall town meeting for construction. And if we could bring it to the fall town meeting for approval, then we can start the construction, be it November, December-ish, and hopefully only be displaced from the station for a year, and hopefully be back in before next, the following winter. One of the things that we have realized in the last couple of weeks in speaking with architects is that there is not going to be enough space for us to remain on site during the renovation. We need to vacate the building because they're going to totally gut this building out, and they're going to raise the old police station and our rear garage. In doing that, they're also going to need to bring in their construction equipment and their trailers, storage containers, and there wouldn't be enough space on site for us to also move into trailers, as well as putting our apparatus into a temporary storage, which would be like a Quonset hut or something to that effect. On top of that, we wouldn't have space for the call department to also respond to emergencies while there's construction going on. So one of the things that we addressed was all of the, the lack of the space and the fact that we would have to relocate. So in looking around and talking with our counterparts at the police station, it made sense that we were to potentially relocate to the rear of the police station. They have an additional 4 acres in the backyard there. That's all nice and flat, where we can put some temporary trailers and a Quonset hut on the helipad for a year. We would be able to put our apparatus in the Quonset hut, heat it temporarily, and we would have the ability to hook into the radio system, the computer system. Everything that we need is right there on site. And it would be the most efficient for us to temporarily, relocate there during the construction period. And this is actually the police department site for anybody that's interested. We'd actually put some trailers directly behind the building where we'd basically operate out of, and put a temporary Quonset hut on the helipad for the apparatus. So as I kind of touched on in the beginning, one of the benefits to moving it up to the special town meeting is it would actually slide the project up about 3 months. And it would, allow us to take advantage of that time and not move into basically being displaced for up to 2 winters, where we really need to have the apparatus in a heated environment in the winter. They carry 1,000 gallons of water, and it doesn't bode well if that were to freeze.
Otherwise, you'd have to wait until the new fiscal year. Is that the point?
Well, the issue that we actually brought up about waiting for the fiscal year is that it would definitely put us through 2 winters. for being displaced. It would, it would be next winter and potentially the following, and by moving in, in the following spring. So we're trying to reduce that as much as possible. But it's, again, it all depends on how the citizens vote, because ultimately it is your vote. And when that does come up in the fall, or hopefully it does come up in the fall, the goal is also to, or just continue to remind everybody that when this falls into the debt service, the plan is for it to not have an increase on your taxes. It falls into the debt cycle around 2020, and the high school and the Shaker Lane School actually fall off the debt service at that time. And this would slide right into the same spot. So it wouldn't be an increase into the taxes.
And does your speed up have the approval of the FinCom? Because they were concerned about, there was concern about how much you could do within the levy limit, how soon you will have, would you have a debt exclusion in the, to present at the full construction, in the fall?
Yes, so the question is, do we have the approval of the other boards, the Finance Committee and the Selectmen? At this time, yes, they were all in favor of it. The Assistant Town Administrator also brought it up, or addressed the issue at the time at the last Selectmen's meeting, that it wouldn't actually affect the timeline of the debt service. That 6 months, they said there was enough flex that it wouldn't have an effect on that. But at town meeting, it would be voted on at town meeting, and from what I understand, it's still up to debate on whether they would have the ballot vote as well in the fall. So that's still to be determined. So here are the, I think it's been about a year since we've met with most of you, year and a half. And just to kind of refresh, this is the renditions that we've come up with a lot of your input as well, to make this really fit the neighborhood as much as possible, and bring in a little bit of character and not have it be like a large commercial building. So as you can see, this is the original building that we're currently in. That will be totally renovated. And this is a community training room that would be going off into the parking lot on the side. And then all of the rear, there would be some additional quarters put on the rear of the building, and 4 garage bays, that 2 of which would be drive-through, that would house all of the fire apparatus. And then on the far side, so these are your bays, the garage bays that would be facing Fay Park. And then in the back side, there's a carport where we'd be able to park our trailers underneath to keep them, basically take them out of the weather and protect them.
Is that a flat roof?
Yes, it is. That after last winter, that was a concern that was brought up to architects, and during this process of design, depending on the architect and who gets the project, it has the potential of changing, being flat or slightly pitched. But I was reassured that the engineering is done for the proper snow loads on a flat roof. It was something that was brought up after last winter, being the snowiest winter on record.
So I had that same concern of last winter about a flat roof. And I said, how about if we put on a pitched roof? It would be quite tall. So one of the things you find with this type of construction is they'll do a flat roof for cost. Mm-hmm. But when you get into a more of a pitched roof, you height-wise, to get the pitch, the building becomes much bigger, and it's all space you can't really use. So you're adding that cost, because we all had that. We all saw what happened last winter, and we all you know, why do we keep putting flat roofs on buildings and then having to pay all this money to take the snow off them? But it was quite clear that to get a pitched roof on that, then we'd really have some type of issue of saying how it blends, because it would be quite steep to have a roof.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that maybe if you put a liner up there, you could move the skating rink from Fay Park to the roof, and then you'd have a community pool.
And then the community farm could go up
There you go.
Yeah, and we need an elevator.
That would be great.
One thing that we did look at in with some of the flat roof space that we have on here is using some of the I guess you'd call it the solar technology for lighting. We're still investigating the solar panel aspect of it, and we've had a couple of discussions with the light department as far as recouping the cost of the panels. They said that's something that could be in the 20 to 30 year range, just because of the size of it. But there are other options, and one of the things that we're currently investigating, which it seems very positive, is they're called they're like worm tubes or something like that, but they're like little domes, and they actually throw off more light than the fluorescent lights in this room. And we could put those across that for the apparatus floor to save power and take advantage of some of the natural light, as well as in some of the second floor addition as well. So we're trying to check out all of the options. Maybe keep our little green piece into that as well for the renovation. One of the final things that I just wanted to touch on is space and parking, because parking has always been a concern. And so we did a little bit of research over the winter in regards to some of the parking lot for Fay Park or the conservation land or even the church. And on a typical Sunday for church, over the winter, there have been between 65 and 75 cars that are here every weekend. When the renovation is complete, the parking will be on the far side of the garage. It will move from the current 20 spaces that we have on the on the side of the building right now to about 38 spaces. A few of the other additions that have happened recently would be the 300 King Street, where there's currently 45 additional parking spaces. We also have both sides of the historical center with an additional 16 spaces, and there would even be a few more spaces out in the front of the fire station with handicap parking and a few additional spots there. So all in all, when it's all done, there would be about 112 parking spaces within walking distance just right in this area that would be available, for anybody, depending on what the event is. Which is an increase over what there currently is right now. Anybody have any questions, thoughts, concerns?
How is that going to work out? I mean, it makes sense having some natural light, even for the well-being of people in the fire department, and having light, so the bubble capability sounds good. Solar panels sound good. There are also ideas of green roofs versus black roofs radiating heat back. Have you explored anything like that? And what's the process going to be to explore those options?
We have not. We have not, to answer your question, we haven't explored any more than that. We have had discussions about the solar panels, and we have looked at and received some information on the solar lighting. There've been a few random discussions about, great place for a garden right across the rooftop. Plenty of sunlight for that, but we are looking into those options, and depending on, the initial phases of the design, we'll explore those options and the cost benefit to that as well. Mr. Leibowitz?
This raises another question. I think that's a good point that was made. You know, you're obviously the most important people here, and you're gonna get, you know, everything you want in terms of an efficient, as best you can, efficient, cost-effective fire station. And that's, you know, I certainly am not gonna sort of put my 2 cents in there. You know what you need, and you know what you have. But as Don said, in terms of, I mean, he knows a lot about environmental issues and things like that. I'm not speaking in my capacity as a historical commissioner, but, you know, I am interested in those kind of, you know, issues of the historic character of this building as it exists now. And I wonder if there could be some way to involve people like us in those kind of questions. I mean, I know you guys are going to want to do all you can to sort of help us, but this isn't your expertise any more than what's a good fire station. It's my expertise, zero. You know, I wouldn't pretend to sort of talk about that. So I wonder if there could be some way that people who have some concerns with those particular matters could be involved more than just every so often hearing from you guys about what's going on.
So let me just try to clarify that a little bit. Would the concern be of the view and what you would be looking at the fire station, so that you're not per se looking at solar panels as you're driving by and things of that nature?
Well, it's that, but from my concern, you know, particularly, it's kind of the preservation of the historic aspects of the current building that, you know, that are valuable, and, you know, I'd like to see that that's maintained. Your conceptual drawings don't particularly show that, but I don't worry too much about that because I know that's conceptual and so on. But then I do worry a little bit because the 300 King Street thing, I didn't realize that we'd be seeing so much blacktop. I mean, there were these conceptual drawings that, you know, sort of didn't show that, and then all of a sudden it was built, and there was all that blacktop. And, you know, conceptual drawings like this, I mean, naturally enough, the front facade of this building, you know, is just drawn in a very general way. And
Correct.
I don't object to that. I mean, I understand that this is a concept, but then I don't want to see sort of all of a sudden it jumps to the final thing, and what happened? It wasn't what sort of I thought we were going to get, or something like that.
Yep. So you're correct. In these renditions, it gives the basic story of what we're looking for. We honestly, we did a very affordable feasibility study that included, we had limited funds for these conceptual designs. And so it basically brought in, you know, the simplest design to you know, meet our goals and give an idea of how it would blend to the neighborhood. So you're correct. It doesn't, you know, these drawings don't depict all the fine detail that are on this building, and, you know, the front doors and the detail work around the soffits and the trim. And, you know, it's our intention to have that, you know, mimic and replicate itself onto the addition and around the building, to keep that character, to keep the, you know, the historical view or history of the building just extended onto the addition. And then and if there are solar panels and stuff like that, they'll be on the flat roof section, so that they wouldn't be visible from the street. They wouldn't be visible as you're going by, but, you know, if it's here, it would be up there without being, you know, taking away the historical look. Yep.
Yeah, so I think a lot of us are concerned about, you know, particularly the lighting, because right now there's massive floodlights that really aren't necessary in these days. Now, looking at the timeline that you showed on your first slide, when you had the RFQs out, proposals had been submitted March 31st, and you're talking about May 3rd, you're going to be awarding the design. So when will we be able to see the design? This is a concept. I mean, the designs are very close to being awarded. These are going to be an opportunity for people to see the final candidates and have inputs before the design work begins May 1st.
So Our request for qualifications has been put out. So right now, that's what is currently in the central register, and it closes on the 31st.
Yeah.
And that's simply a request for qualifications. Once that closes, the PMBC and myself will be part of the review committee to look at everybody that has submitted their qualifications for the project. Once that is done, the PMBC will make the final decision as to who they would like to do the design of the project. And as long as it successfully passes at town meeting, at that point it would be awarded. They would start design and do the design of the fire station, however that comes up. If, depending on the architect, there may be some subtle changes or finer detail, but as that is moving forward, we would try to bring it up to everybody and any of the changes and stuff like that.
It would be nice if the timeline showed a little bit of that design review. I mean, is the design being awarded based upon cost or cost and design content?
So there's $530,000 that is set aside for design of the project. That's being set at the special town meeting as a capital item. The project, the design of it would hopefully remain within that cost, because again, that's all that's being said, that has been set aside for it. And as it's done, the goal is to have it sent out to bid for construction at the end of the summer, going into the fall, so that just before a fall town meeting, we have a solid construction number. So that we can go to fall town meeting with that number and, not deal with something like what's currently going on in Westford, with some change of numbers. We want a solid number. Yep.
You said the PM something, I was thinking that.
The Municipal Building Committee?
So those are the people that are going to be saying, yep, we want this design?
No, they're saying that this is the architect that we want to design our fire station. So as design is being done, they will bring up discussion and thoughts, and they may have different ideas as to the flow of the building or something that works better. And as they do that, they will bring those concepts forward, and we will request to bring it out to everybody and try to keep everybody on the same page so that there's no surprises at the end.
I think one thing is a sort of clarification. I mean, we've been through this a little bit. I've seen this a little bit working myself. So between March 31st and the design award, you're not looking at any pictures or anything. You're looking at the qualifications of the architects.
Correct.
And so they will present what they've done before, and and how what their experiences are, and things like that. And on that basis, the PMBC will select an architect.
That's correct.
Now, this will be done, I take it, at meetings of the PMBC, and these would be open meetings?
Yes.
People who wanted to go to those could go?
That's correct.
I think
Yep.
so, right? And then, would there be opportunities for people in the community to go to any sort of meetings with the architects as they're going from this May 3rd onward to, the end of June or something, and beyond?
Honestly, that would be my goal, to keep everybody in the loop. So as design progresses and different renditions, if the renditions change at all, is to bring that to everybody for feedback and input.
And, the Permanent Municipal Building Committee does what they want to do, and often they make mistakes. You look at the high school where they didn't like the fact that the Board of Health said the septic system's going to fail, and they tried to dissolve the Board of Health. And they built what they wanted, and it failed worse than even predicted. They built an auditorium that has flaws. The landscaping outside had invasive species burning bush. it seems to be a very narrow perspective from the Permanent Municipal Building Committee. This is a change, as an opportunity to do something correctly and try new things. And it's a big opportunity for the fire department. I would think it would be helpful if you had an advisory group of citizens and knowledgeable people, such as the Sustainable Committee and so on, to help you out with this and work with the Permanent Municipal Building Committee. In the past, it's been a very rigid, confrontational experience. It'd be nice to eliminate that. Make it cost-effective, make it work well. It's a good opportunity. And just for clarification, when some people walked in, on your timeline here for awarded design, it isn't really awarding the design, it's selecting the architect who will then work with the community and award the design.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct,
people
yes.
get scared when they saw that.
No, yeah,
The wording should be changed, especially for town meeting.
yeah, it's awarding the architect to create the design, correct. I'll adjust that. Honestly, it's from all of your input that we are at this design that we have today. If it wasn't for everybody's thoughts, concerns, and, want to, have it fit the neighborhood, then, it wouldn't be like that. And for those that don't realize it, all of the neighbors originally did want to try to kick us out, and we did, we did our homework and checked out other alternative sites. But due to the extensive cost at just site prep, that's why we remained at this current location. And the board took that vote for us to remain on this site. And we were lucky enough that they actually took the additional vote to raise the old police station and the rear garage at construction. So now we can actually take full advantage of the full 2-acre lot and make the best use out of the site.
Yeah, everyone has something to add, so
Yep.
including the neighbors and other people in the community interested in new buildings, such as, for example, you would hope that whole flat area would have enough capability for a bearing load in case you do have a green roof or have solar panels, as opposed in the past people say, we can't put solar panels in the current administration building because it isn't strong enough. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I mean, it'd be good to do this right and need some transparency and some input.
Yep.
I mean, we all benefit from it.
Right. Mrs. Leibowitz?
We'd like to acknowledge the nice working sessions that we've had with you
Thank you.
on the conceptual design, and I think it's important in this case that most of the other major town projects that I'm familiar with have all been put in on an empty space, and that gives a lot of freedom. It's not as challenging as putting in a major addition in a built-up neighborhood like this. So we do, those of us who live here really appreciate the chance to work with you on this, and we'd be happy to be part of an advisory committee. And I've been reading up about on the street and the neighborhood, all the historical survey forms that were filled out back in the late 90s. And this is a special area. It's got all kinds of colonial architecture starting in the early 18th century and going up to the early 20th. And then this current building was kind of the last of it's in colonial revival style. And so it's sort of the epitome of everything that's gone on before around it. And so I think it's a building that people have enjoyed working in. Maybe not you so much, but the town offices. And so we want to see that given careful treatment during the renovations and the addition, so that the great architectural features that it has, the cupola, the surround and arch above the doors, the window frames, the cornice that runs around, that has beautiful ventilation. It does need a new coat of paint at the moment. And that is sort of like the centerpiece in the front to your operation. And you've redesigned the whole inside to make it more workable. And so I feel this has been a fruitful collaboration so far, and we'd like to see it continue.
Good, thank you. Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to second some of the things that have been said with regards to the lighting. It's possible to have fixtures that direct the light downwards. They could even be, approved by the Dark Sky Association. I wonder if you might consider having sensors that turn the lights off and then turn them on when a vehicle or a person comes by. So lights do have a huge effect on us neighbors.
Yep, I apologize. I didn't address that when you brought that up. A few of those items were talked about with the conceptual designs, and it was discussed that it would be directional LED lighting, so that there would be, as far as some of the apparatus views for the garage bays, there would be lighting underneath the awnings that would shine down. If there were some of the parking lot lights, it would all be LED, lighting that went down to the ground on motion sensors. So as the apparatus left, they would turn on for short periods of time and again turn off. We know there's the bright lights out in the parking lot and the side of the field. We don't know who put those up. The light department did for, it had to do with some of the park. That has nothing to do with the department, but those are things that we'd like to have changed and removed, so that, there's not really a need to light up the world. There is a training aspect of the building on the back corner. That is a training tower and a training area where we would be able to conduct drills. And again, that's an area where we could have lighting, worked into the building so it shined down. And when we're done, that stuff gets turned off, or it's on motion sensors so that it doesn't, doesn't affect the whole neighborhood. And then some of the original discussions for the parking lot area would be that the LED lighting would turn off like at 10 o'clock at night, because the functions or events that happen at the church or different events are usually over by 10, so that again it wouldn't be constant light in the area.
Good. The other thing was just about the energy efficiency of the buildings. It is, after all, a town building. So I don't know if Littleton will become a green community, but many of the towns and cities in Massachusetts are.
I do believe we were just designated as a green community.
We should comply with some suggestions they have.
Just a matter of lowering the carbon footprint of the town, and this would be a great opportunity for this building.
Yep. As a matter of fact, we are the last building in town that still uses oil. That will go away. It will be, again, we will get natural gas instead of the oil. That's something that has to be addressed with the service that comes into the building. And then, again, try to take advantage of some of the solar that's out there. As the project moves forward, hopefully there'll be some additional options that we can explore.
A couple of things. Sorry, I came in late, so if I'm repeating anything here, just say never mind. But are you going after any LEED certification on the building?
I am not sure. I don't have an answer for you on that.
It would be a really good opportunity.
Yep.
And would set a standard for all the buildings that are coming, and it's a pretty kind of normal thing to try to go for municipal buildings now. The other thing is the roof is enormous, the flat roof.
It is.
Even in car dealerships and hospitals and so forth, we're putting green roofs on, not just because it's green and sounds great, but because it really does insulate and help with the thermal footprint. So I would say that should be something the architect, whichever architect is chosen, should have had that kind of experience, so that we could at least explore it, even if it's not the whole roof, at least a good part of it. And my last thing was, have you talked about how you're interfacing with Fay Park at all? With that edges and, you know, right now it sort of crumbles off into it. And we have a nice relationship, you guys spray it and give us a nice skating rink, but you've done a lot of work with the building. What have you talked about with that end?
So a couple of the discussions that we've also involved the highway super, Jimmy Clyde, was talking about as the entrance to Wilderness Road is redone. There's not really a good view of it on here. Is to put some type of a sidewalk or retainer along that side of Fay Park, just to basically shore it up. It's going to be, you know, the new permanent driveway for the facility. The front apron will be going out facing the park, and it's, you know, that's going to be the main path.
I think it would be great if we could establish another green space. It slopes off so much, we really can't plant any trees there on
Right.
the Fay Park side, and where it gets so wet, but we have the opportunity to grab a nice strip of land. I like your idea of the sidewalk, I think that's fine, but to really get a green strip along there and plant some trees so that we have some buffering from the big building, so the park isn't overwhelmed by it. Because the park's going to feel much smaller when this building goes up. The more green we can get against that, I think the better.
The one limitation that we have with putting a green buffer between the building and the park, or Wilderness Road and the park, is the limited space that we actually have for egress of the apparatus. The fire apparatus will be on the front apron, or the parking area in front of the garage bays will be facing the park. And for them to pull out and have the appropriate turning radius, they're going to need to utilize that all of Wilderness Road that is there, so that there's enough space for traffic incoming. So for the residents to still come in and apparatus to go out, we need to really maintain that. That was kind of one of the goals by relocating the parking lot into the back section, is that we can create some more green space like up here and plant some trees, and to kind of buffer it from the road, and so that you're not really seeing the parking lot in the back.
And, you know, we still recognize, you know, expertise in fire safety and public health and so on, and defer to that. But also, just looking at this room, we have architects, landscape architects, historians, energy specialists. We have a lot of skills here that are in your neighbors, and high-tech and a variety of things. You have a community farm out back in F. If you have a green roof, maybe they'll do something there. There are a lot of things that could be done and be cost-effective and actually promote what you're doing as a community member. I mean, I think we should look at that as a resource.
You may not recall from our last meeting, which was over a year ago, I did say that I will be tapping into your resources, because I know there are some qualifications and out here, and I would, you know, gladly tap into some of your thoughts, your ideas, and hopefully, you know, incorporate them into this design.
Well, it's just a matter of maintaining that and getting the politics out of the town.
I agree, and so, you know, it's nice that we're finally here. We're just before town meeting, and now we're going to go for design. And I think, you know, the next 6-8 months are going to go by quickly. And if we can get the design done, and hopefully the construction is approved in November, we can move forward and take advantage of, you know, having these meetings and keeping everybody in the loop with how the design evolves, and, you know, always looking for additional expertise and thoughts and ideas to incorporate into the property. You know, we don't want to just stay with the trees that are out front and the planted grass and the bushes that are already here. Hopefully that stuff's all going to be gone, and we can redo the whole exterior so that it's a nice looking facility. That's what we'd really like.
Will we be able to go with you to the building committee? That would be...
That's public, those are public meetings.
I know, but in a sense, as partners, to be or as an advisory to you. So this will be something new for them. And
I think that'll be up to the board to decide, or the Board of Selectmen, if they, honestly, I'm not sure on that whole process, on how they, pick boards or committees, advisory committees. So that would be up to them. I don't want to step where I shouldn't. And, when it goes to the PMBC for the plan reviews and everything like that, those are public meetings, and everybody is welcome.
And I've certainly heard the desire to want to be part of the process, so I'm happy to, convey that back to the team. And I think it's a great idea.
Any other questions?
Only one comment. This image that you have is inaccurate. It's like a mirror image of what you're talking about.
Yes, it is. That'll be corrected.
Yeah.
Is it your intention that there's room on Wilderness Road for people to turn up Wilderness Road at the same time as the fire apparatus and rescue vehicles are coming out?
Yes. So it's our intent to have a 40-foot wide area pulling out of there, and that's what the current requirements are for public roads. That would at least allow the apparatus to come out, and if people are coming in to, say, go to church or the park or conservation, while they're pulling in, there's space for them to pull over and the apparatus to pull out.
Is there going to be a divider on Wilderness Road on both sides then? Or there's the Fay Park side and then there's the side that's closest to the fire station? Is that actually going to be
A curb?
a curb?
Showing grass.
So this,
Talking about the right side stuff, towards Bay Park.
right, here you go. If this is a little bit smaller, a little bit smaller here, but if you, so here's this is the front apron to pull out of the station, and then this is Wilderness Road. This kind of depicts what was discussed originally as maybe like a walkway or something to that effect on the park side, but that would be some type of curbing in the green space, and then this would be the park.
I think what she's asking is, what's going to divide the road from Fay Park? At this point, that's what we're talking with Jim Klein about.
Potentially the sidewalk?
Because there is also the drain that drains Fay Park. Right. Now that's all going to get changed, but I understand your point. That's where we're at with highway, but in the stage we're at, which is, okay, we really don't even have the money. It comes up in May, but we're all, okay, this is going to go forward. And once we hire the architect, that's when we really have to get down and say, does this work, and how do we make that happen?
Right. Those will be the issues that are addressed with the architect so that they can, make the appropriate design. Does that make sense? Okay. So, as Tom said, it's still, you're right, we don't have the funding for anything, and a lot of this is, we have good intent, but until an architect is actually hired and we begin the design, that's when the rubber meets the road, and we can actually say this is what's going to happen.
I'm just thinking about, for instance, church parking in the parking lot at the top of there. You show a crosswalk going over towards Fay Park from the parking. I was wondering, is there a legal or liability reason that you would do that and because people going to the church would walk down the length, the width of Fay Park and then have to cross that width back again to get to the church?
Honestly, this was just done as a conceptual. It's basically a cartoon, and until
if there would be some reason that you would want to keep people from walking across the apron.
Honestly, if if it wasn't on this side of the park, maybe on the outside. We would really like to try to avoid them from walking directly in front of the bays. If the garage is open and they're responding to a call, and people, have just parked and don't realize what might be going on, we would hate for something tragic to happen.
The other side of the sidewalk along Fay Park anyway.
Correct. It's a safer route of travel to avoid any potential mishap. That would be a bad day.
We'll figure out the ones who come late to Sunday service.
People being people, though. I think that's fine.
I know. But
That's why they have loud sirens.
We don't want them to use lights.
We try not to. Try to keep it quiet until we're out of the area.
John gets the word.
Yep. Any other feedback, thoughts?
When do we get together again if we're going to have an ongoing discussion?
I would, just simply guessing, I would say after town meeting. Once a designer has been picked and, potentially have another forum like this with the architect so that we can, all of the issues can be raised and they can be made aware of all of the concerns for the neighborhood and the facility.
Scott, can I suggest if we do that, it might be, especially if it's summer, we go outside and actually walk around and point. It's a little easier to be looking at that side than just to...
Absolutely. One of the things that we've done over the last 2 weeks is we marked out in the parking lot. Unfortunately it's dark right now, but going off of this conceptual design, there's orange paint markings out in the parking lot to kind of outline the entire facility on how it would, where it would be placed out there. So if anybody has the urge to come by any day, feel free, and we'd gladly show you around. If anybody would like a tour through tonight, we're more than willing to show you around the facility and the garages and show you some of the issues.
I was actually going to ask that if you would mind doing that.
Absolutely, not a problem. So honestly, once town meeting votes on it and it's been awarded for design, then that would most likely be our next meeting.
That would be great.
All right, good.
Thank you, guys.
Any further questions? All right, thank you all for coming. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks very much for coming down tonight, and I thought you had a lot of good things to say. So you're a neighbor?
Yes, we're the immediate neighbors. When we tell people where we live, we say right next to the fire station.
Ah, perfect. That's a nice landmark.
Yeah, it's always great for us because everybody knows where we are. And, we get along very well with the fire department. They're great folks, and they've been really outgoing with this and really wanting to involve the neighbors. We haven't had to push them. They've been very forthcoming about this, so we appreciate that very much.
Well, that's great to hear, and I'm glad to hear it's such a collaborative process, and you guys are coming down to participate. So what are some of your thoughts on the updates?
Okay, well, I think, the updates look good. I mean, again, it's not, at this point, you can't tell too much. We have the conceptual plans, which we've had for quite a while now, and I think, they haven't changed, and so we look forward to seeing what it comes out to when it goes from the conceptual to the details, and there's a lot of, there's that old devil in the details kind of thing, which I think is often true. And, when you look at the concepts, they're very general, and you just hope that the details are worked out well. I mean, I'm sure everybody wants them to be, and we'll just try and make sure that they are.
And I thought there was a lot of good input even here tonight about environmental aspects, historical aspects. It's really good to hear, and I think you guys made a great case for continuing to involve the public.
Yeah, I think that's very important. I think it's very important, and I think what's nice to see is that the fire chief and the department generally really seem like they want to do that, and that's really good. And so I think we'll work together very well. And as Don McIver said, we do have a lot of expertise right in this neighborhood in a number of different areas: architects, landscape architects, historical, people who know about historic preservation, people who know about environmental issues. So there's a lot of people who want to help and can help.
It's a great community spirit. Well, I thank you very much.
Okay, well,
and
thank
look
you very
forward
much
to
for
talking
coming.
to you soon.
Okay, well, very good, and thank you
you.
very much for coming, and thank the selectmen for their participation too.
Thank you. We're here at the fire station with Chief Wazinski for another night with the public to include them in discussing future plans for the fire station. So Chief, tell us about the night.
I think the night went very well. We had a lot of input from the neighbors and a few other residents that came in. The other thing that we did tonight is we actually tweeted this live, and we had over 60 followers during the discussion. So that was kind of cool.
That's really cool, actually. And so you can download the Periscope app, go into Twitter, follow the fire department, and always see when you guys are going to post live. I think you might be one of the first departments in the town to use that feature. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. One of the guys just kind of brought it up today. So it was definitely a neat feature, and I'm glad to see that it worked.
And yet another way to involve the public that maybe couldn't be here, maybe isn't in town right now, you can reach anyone and get their inputs. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
So lots of good input tonight. What were some of the key takeaways that you heard from the public?
I think the residents and some of the neighborhood members really want to have input into the design of the station. And they would really like to I guess everything, design of the appearance of the building right down to the landscape. And, just, I think one of the other things is the green. They want a green building. The different features of the building, even the LEEDs qualifications to, have the recycled materials and different green features basically brought into the renovation of the station. So I think it was a very positive night, and I look forward to moving forward with the architect and including the architect that's chosen into another public meeting, and so that everybody can kind of feel like they were able to have input into the design of the fire station renovation.
I think that's super important. Everyone really appreciates a couple of folks stopped by and told me how appreciative they were of the fire department and yourself in particular and including them in the process, so thank you. So as I understand it, the request for qualifications, or RFQ, is out. What are kind of the next steps in the process?
So the RFQ is out. That is due back on the 31st, and then that'll give the PMBC, or the Public Municipal Building Committee, about a month or a little longer to review the architects and their qualifications, and hopefully choose one that's best suited for the job, so that after town meeting, as long as the citizens vote to go forward with design, then the PMBC can award an architect to start design of the renovation of the fire station. So I was just going to say, as it moves forward, they'll hopefully we'll have another public meeting so everybody can have their input. So hopefully by heading into the fall, when the design is complete, it will actually go out to bid for construction, so that when we come forward to the November town meeting, or the fall town meeting, we will actually have a solid number for construction estimates, and that's what will be bid on, and we'll have that number for town meeting, so that we can go into town meeting with a good, factual, solid number for everybody to vote on.
That's fantastic. And one of the questions that was asked tonight is, does any of the updates affect the financial aspect of how, the town would pay for it, and, the impacts there, and do you have alignment with FinCom and the Board of Selectmen? So could you talk a little bit about that aspect?
Over the last several weeks, we have brought it up to the Selectmen and the FinCom, and the Assistant Town Administrator was able to reassure everybody that that few months of a swing, bringing it up closer, actually would not affect how the debt service is placed. And the one bonus to this whole project is that it will actually fall into the debt service where the high school and Shaker Lane fall off, so that it actually, the goal is that it won't have an effect on the taxpayer. It'll fall under the Proposition 2.5 override, and
not increase our taxes, bottom line.
Well, that sounds pretty good to me. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us?
I'm just looking forward to getting this project going.
Likewise, can't wait to see this process continue and really get started and take off. So thank you, Chief. Great job tonight. Really well done. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.